What's up, party people, and welcome back to another episode of Dance Specific Talks. This week, it's a special episode as I got to sit down live together with my best friend Annosh back from Sweden. And we were traveling in Barcelona together, and we had the time to sit down and talk about femininity. So if you're interested in all the juicy stuff we're talking about here, also lean back, grab yourself a coffee, and dive into this girl talk. And if you have something to add to it, please comment below. We would love to hear what you think. Mwah. We have gathered here today to talk a little bit about femininity.
Yes.
And, well, I'm T-zer.
I'm Annosh.
And yeah, we are basically just here to talk about different topics regarding femininity, how our own journey has been like individually in our bodies, mind and soul, but also through our dancing.
Yes. And as a little background, we come from the same dance crew. And we still kind of gathered again through the themes that we want to talk about. So it's like, it's interesting that we follow the same journey. And now we felt like it's time to sit down and discuss that.
Yeah, we have definitely gone through like some maturity journey since we also started dancing together, which is now officially 10 years ago.
It is. Happy 10 years
Happy 10
anniversary.
years.
If you want to start, T-zer, what is femininity to you? What does that mean, that word?
I think that femininity is something that we normally always say it's a journey, right? So femininity has been something different for me in the past and compared to what it is right now. Femininity for me right now is a way of expressing, and it's a way of being very raw and authentic and daring to be as true to your core and like soul as you possibly can. And I think that that's the journey, right? Of like, how deep can I go? But also, what parts of me are there still to be loved? And maybe my journey of femininity is about exploring those parts and expressing not only the beautiful, the sensual, the sexual, the powerful, but also the vulnerable and maybe a little bit more the things we don't talk about as well. What's femininity for you?
I think femininity for me is about embracing all my senses and all my feelings at the same time. I feel like I dug deep into what it means to be feminine and a woman to me. I felt like I was separating those things all the time because I felt like in my dance, it's not the time and space for this. Dance should be about like skills and executing and dancing like really hard or technical or whatever. But now I feel like within my dancing, femininity has to be about all my senses. With that being said, like, what am I wearing? How am I smelling? How does it feel to move? All my senses. How does it feel to touch my skin? What does it look like? What is the background? What noises, what sounds are there? And also to embrace all the sides of myself from the inside and out. And a big part of myself is like my sensuality. I really have a strong sense of sensuality within my daily life. And to be able to express that through dance is a part of my feminine journey, as we call it. So yeah.
It's also funny how, again, femininity hasn't looked so different from 10 years ago when we started dancing together.
Yeah.
I felt like it was more of a taught thing of how we're supposed to look like when we are feminine. And some of those aspects are still within us because whatever you train at some point, you adapt it to yourself, right? But we have taken all these puzzle pieces of what it means to be a woman, what it means to move feminine. And the older we got, the broader that picture has become.
Definitely.
And I think naturally as like hip hop dancers, you gravitate towards the American standard of femininity and how they express, and we copy a lot of those expressions. And I feel like especially traveling as much as we have done has opened our eyes to different types of femininity. It looks so different in Latin America versus in
Europe,
Africa
yeah,
or in Asia.
yeah.
And I don't know,
And
like,
within styles and
yeah.
cultures and traditions as well. And I feel like that was like you're touching a subject now. That was why I strained from dancing feminine because I thought it was a specific style of dance and I didn't feel comfortable dancing that style. For example, high heels, the traditional high heels type of dancing, when you do like a commercial choreography to a pop song or an R&B song, and you're like very your legs are always supposed to be like stretched or long or stuff like that, and you're like so far away from the ground. For me, I felt like alienated from that style a lot because I couldn't really get in touch with my sensuality. And now I realize that femininity or feminine dance is not a specific style. You can be feminine when you dance hip hop, like, and I think that's where my journey started. I started expressing differently in my hip hop freestyle and explored different type of movements and how it felt. And I incorporated a lot of kizomba that we used to dance a lot together and urban kiss into my hip hop, and I just felt different. It felt more true. Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess that's the journey of like trying to shape your own way of how do I want to express. And because we all have all these different life journeys, it
Yeah.
just looks different. And I think that that's especially when we teach feminine dance or like dance with emphasis on feminine movements. That's where it's like such a key as a teacher to try to bring that out of people.
Yeah.
And just the hardest part to I think a lot of people think that the hardest part of doing feminine dance is the moves. The hardest part of feminine dance is to dare to be you
Yeah.
without trying to look like somebody else. And as a teacher, I feel like that's like 95% of the work
Yeah.
is us through exercises, through talking, through discussions even during class.
Yeah.
It's like I feel like you and I are gravitating more and more towards that part opens the dance rather than learn how to dance so that you one day automatically express yourself.
And I think also to be sexy or sensual is an expression that is really, really tough for people, like for women who hasn't really expressed that a lot to get into. I feel like it's so taboo. It's also so connected to self-confidence, self-awareness. It's really that one is really hard to be viewed as sexy by somebody else, but also most and foremost to view yourself as sexy. And that is just so sad because it's not supposed to be about how anybody else views you, but how you feel sexy yourself. And I think, as you said, like that is the most important work we do when we teach. Because I can only show a movement that I like to make when I'm dancing, but I don't know how that feels in your body to make that movement. You need to find that for yourself. And you need to adjust that. Maybe you need to have a shoulder in front or back or legs bent or straight. It doesn't matter, but you need to find that yourself. And to be able to do that work, you need to dig deep within to understand how does it feel to move like this? And how does it make me feel to move like this?
What do I feel like I'm worthy to do with that?
Yeah.
I think that that's also like the self-worth comes into play all the time. You need to decide in the moment. Oh, I just came up with this. Maybe that's the difference of people that you can see and feel their performance because in that moment they choose to say, I am worthy of the spotlight and I am worthy of telling my story.
Yeah.
And if you don't feel that, if you can't convince yourself like that in the moment, you're gonna see that.
Yeah, definitely. That is interesting. That made me think about like, is there any obstacles you have faced during your journey of like feminine movement dancing that you can remember now when it comes to like confidence or self-worth or when you've been holding yourself back or something like that?
I definitely feel like my journey shaped me into choosing the different tracks that people have already walked in, right? So like, okay, so you want to dance feminine within hip hop, so then who do you look for? And I remember you would have to look for like the girls with the biggest baggy jeans and the cap, and
Yeah.
like basically the Beyonce's clip where she's like doing a wave against the wall in Crazy in Love, where she
Yeah.
had those baggy jeans and like
Hmm.
really tough and big
That
earrings
lollipop.
and then lollipop and like the biggest sneakers. That was my first like, I want to look like that.
Yeah.
I would die to look like that. And I think that it was because it just showed not only am I feminine, but I can rock the masculine too. And in the beginning of my journey becoming, I guess, from girl to grown, or I feel like I'm still on the grown journey, but on that journey, she was the first one. She was the first character because she was both.
Yeah.
Like, don't fuck with me, but
Hmm.
also that you want to see me dance.
Hmm.
And then knowing how to dance was obviously what made it whole thing cool. Not just the look, but the way you move.
Yeah.
And so I decided right there and then I need to learn how to move like that. And that was the beginning. And
Yeah.
then I think that other kind of characters have shown up in the way. I mean, I did a lot of dancehall like queen and feminine style steps within dancehall, and that is nothing but raw. It's nothing but raw. Like, and I loved that because it was so extreme and it was
Yeah.
really pushing the boundaries and it was like unapologetic. And so it wasn't about how little they were wearing. It was about the confidence of not looking crazy, but actually is that like this is power. Like I saw Jamaican women in Kingston go up on their head on gravel
Yeah.
and jumping while twerking on their head. That hurts. That is like bleeding head after, just to show it,
Yeah.
just to show off. And that unapologetic feminine energy was also a part that I gravitated so much towards. Like it's like a big fuck you in the face type of
Yeah.
power.
It's
And it was
raw.
like so raw. And it suited me then. And then the Kizomba came in and kind of gave me a voice to be softer. And I still think that the softer and the more vulnerable and the more from a heart space rather than only from a ancient power place, that vulnerability is the next phase for me that I feel that I have had obstacle expressing because you still don't want to be like too weak, you know. You didn't want to show weakness.
Yeah. And
So
that's also something because the feminine like qualities has been viewed as weak for such a long time that it's also inside of us. We need to work with that all the time to express that without feeling weak.
yeah, 100%. So I guess the obstacle on the way have been I am expressing this, but is it me? And like, how do I turn that to me? Or what am I connecting this style or this energy with within me? Because otherwise, you can't battle, you can't compete, you can't do those things. You need to connect it with something. Otherwise, it just becomes some steps. So I think many obstacles. What kind of obstacles have you faced on this feminine movement journey?
Feminine movement journey, many different obstacles. I think that my biggest obstacle have been myself and body image and my sense of self-worth since forever. I feel like I've had confidence all the time. Like I know I can bring it when I need to bring it. That's never been a problem for me. Like, if I'm on stage, I'm gonna tear it. Yeah, I'm gonna tear it apart. That's just how I like to express. I am very expressive. I like to dance big and to catch the eye of somebody and stuff like that. That has not been a problem for me. But I come from a line of women who've like hated their bodies. Like I don't know how many generations back, but I think it's many. So I also come from that like being like skinny is the ultimate goal of all times. And even if my brain knows better, I've always had to fight between my brain and my heart and my, inside has always been fighting each other. My common sense against like this feeling of insecurity. So I think that that has been like the main obstacle, but also my greatest strength, because I know how it feels to lack that self-worth, to feel insecure about your body. And I also know how to work with that and overcome that. And with that being said, I don't love my body every day. No, I'll take that back. I do love my body every day, but I'm not always happy about how it looks, but I be loving on my body every day now because I have to, because I've been fighting against my body. So every time I've been like skinnier has always was because I was fighting my body. It's not my body's natural way of being. And for me now, it's the journey is to feel beautiful in every stage of my body, because I have that type of body that always changing. Like if I'm sick, my body changes. If I'm healthy, my body changes. It's just the way it is. And I am actually grateful for that, because I get to experience new phases with my body all the time. But that has been an obstacle to overcome. And also because of what we see as dancers, the goal, what is the image that we seek? It's always a woman who looks a certain way. And when I was younger, I find it really hard to accept that I would never reach that image. But now I've created my own. Now I don't even want to reach that. But looking back, that was really tough for me.
And it's also like the way we also used to look back. It was right. It was girls that was just a little bit older than us. We didn't never look to the real women.
No.
Usually, we were looking up to other teenagers or to early 20s,
Yes.
right? And I feel like that is also something that has come with age, is that, well, the women you used to look up to, or the girls, they're women now.
Yeah.
And you see other ways of dressing, and you see other ways of portraying that feminine body.
Definitely.
That is nothing to do with the size, but you're not exposed to that in a young age. Those are not the women you relate to. So I also find it very cool to see like the way you have, each time you had to overcome it, you claimed it, or you rather took that thing back each time, and just being like, no, I need to also accept this. Otherwise, how can I teach that? And how could I spread it on? And like,
Yeah.
yeah.
And also to teach and to show and to talk about it being a journey. It's not always easy. We go through life and things happen. And we might feel insecure, or we get knocked down. That's also part of it. It's not like before I thought I was going to reach a certain level and then I would stay there and everything would be perfect. But then I realized, but that's not the beauty of life though. Like you need to be able to love yourself through it all. And like that type of love is not it's a practice. You practice that love. It's not something that you reach and then you're done. You need to practice it every day. And I think that you touched about something really interesting when it comes to female models, or like that image that you want to perceive. They are always like, the women are not women, like you said. They are girls. And I think that's a very interesting thing to talk about too, because I feel like as a woman, you should want to look younger and you should be a little girlish. And aging is something negative. But I think it's the most beautiful thing to feel like a grown woman. I have no interest in looking like a girl, behaving like a girl, being perceived as a girl. And I think that we see that a lot in dancing and in pop culture or whatever. Girls, they look like teenagers, even though they are grown women. And that is, for me, like the greatest sign of us not allowing ourselves to grow up and express differently. That is also okay. Like I'm not expressing the same way as I did when I was 22, because I have a different life experience now. I'm older.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. It is cool also to think that, like, again, when you start your journey, you have a very few tracks, again, choices of what you can relate to. And when you get older, you also start being fascinated by the whole spectrum of femininity.
Yeah.
It's more of an explorational journey now. It's more of connected with, yeah, the love of self-exploring, actually. Not only, again, what you come from, what's in your DNA, what's in your within your culture, how are women perceived, or how do you celebrate them, or what is, in our case, a typical Swedish woman versus a Mexican woman, and how do we celebrate things differently? I think that our culture has some way to go when it comes to expressing. We are not known for that. We're known for being more reserved. And I think that um, in a Western society, there's a certain norm of how much expression you can do.
Definitely.
Basically, there was like a study that studied like, I don't know, 20,000 women or 2,000 women over a span of 10 years. And basically, they said that a woman that was unhappy and didn't express it or allowed herself to express it to for herself or for her partner specifically, they lived not as long as the women that were the same unhappy, but dared to express it. And that just comes to show, right, that kind of key when we keep in the expression of that expiration. I don't know what I feel, but I'm just expressing it right now. If you keep on suppressing that,
Yeah.
you get used to that. And it starts to become a wall and a pattern rather than a healthy thing that you do on a regular. And of course, there's many factors to that, but I think to come back to what we do in feminine dancing, it's like trying to fish for that type of expression. And most of the times, the thing that is easiest for people to bring out is what they are expected to do, right? They're expected to smile, they're expected to maybe shake their hips a little bit, like, like that is kind of what's where it starts. And then like comes this when you're trying to get the big fish, you have to go deeper and you have to start allowing expression, but it's sometimes it's so hardly packed, it's so never ventilated, and it's so hard to start. But I think that once you start releasing and expressing things out, you're just like, it's like a spring cleanse, right? You're just cleaning out and you're making this room for creative energy to come in. And that's when you can tap into your power. So I think that what we work with within dancing is how to help you express the unexpressed.
Yeah.
And how do we make it a normal thing so that that spills over to other areas of your life? I don't know.
Exactly.
How do you think, what is it that we actually work with?
I think we work with pleasure. I
Hmm.
think that
Talk to me about pleasure.
yes, I have so much things to say about pleasure. No, but I think like we are so used to pleasuring others in everything that we do. Are you okay? Do you need something else? Do you need more water? How can I like sexually please you? How can I make myself of service all the time? And that is a beautiful trait that I don't think we should ignore or suppress. But we also know you need to know equally what it is to receive pleasure.
Mm.
And how can you receive something from somebody else if you don't know how that feels in your body? How can you like be touched by somebody else and like it
And receive
if you've never touched yourself? For me, that is a very important part of my classes, is to get women to touch themselves in a way they like, whether it's stroking the hair or the face or whatever that looks like for you. Where do you long to be touched? And can you give that to yourself first before you invite anybody else to give that to you? You cannot be whole by another person, right? And also the pleasure of moving and expressing. You were talking about the expression. It needs to be pleasurable, because why are we doing it otherwise? You need to enjoy yourself. And to enjoy yourself is much harder than you think, because you need to be relaxed, you need to have some certain level of confidence, you need to, let go, you need to get all of those layers of feelings out. So I feel like pleasure is something that is really taboo and really like something that you only do when you earn it.
Mm.
I've earned to sit down and relax now. No, you were meant to do that. That is your right.
Mm.
But you need to take it. You can't always wait for somebody to tell you, good job.
Mm.
You need to be able to give that to yourself. So that's pleasure to me. And I think that is what I'm also doing for myself. It's pleasurable for me to move. It's pleasurable for me to have these types of deep talks because I feel like it's serving me. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's also interesting because if we want to go to pleasure, it's also about, are you turned on? Are you turned on vibrational wise? It's not just what turns you on in another person, it's what turns you on with yourself, and it's what turns you on with life.
Definitely.
If you start looking at your life and you can, if you can insert more things that turns you on,
Yeah.
just a little bit about life,
Yeah.
you will tap into something that is very natural, and that is your life force. Because that sexual energy, which we're actually talking about right now, right? It's what creates life, it's what makes us, it's the drive for life, why we do certain things. Just look at everything that people are doing to impress others in
Yeah.
this world. Look at the people that buy all this stuff,
Yeah.
and like all of this. It's a powerful force, but for women, I feel like it's obviously even more. Like,
Yeah.
if you
Definitely. I think we're much more sexual than men.
even though we don't tend to seek like sexual pleasure all the time in the traditional sense of seeing it, you always feel like men are the most sexual beings. But as you say, it's more about what you're oozing, right?
Yeah.
It's like a woman that is really into something for her own pleasure's sake is powerful, because she doesn't do it for all these other reasons. She doesn't do it for fame, she doesn't do it for the money, she doesn't do it, the passion can make money, but if it doesn't come from a place of like, oof, I love this thing, and I'm like, I feel this drive to it, then sooner or later it will become something that is not enjoyable anymore. So I wonder what would happen if we could see life as something that, in the most way possible, should at least turn us on a little bit, turn our vibes on.
Definitely. And I think you're tapping into something also. How do we lead our lives? How am I cooking food? Am I doing it just because I need to? Or am I making that cooking a beautiful experience? What colors am I using? Do I have music on? Do I have incense burning? How does it feel to cook? What does it smell like? And I feel like that is something that comes natural to me, but that I have suppressed for many years. And now I'm tapping into that, being turned on by the little things in life that makes it so beautiful. To nurture your plants, to have a deep conversation with a friend, I don't know, to see a dog. Anything that you do, it's beautiful because it's life.
Yeah. I wonder why it's so hardened to transfer that, because I do think that people do good things. They take walks and you watch a concert, but then why is that not translating to your own body then?
Because I think we're so disconnected to our bodies. We're so much in our heads, and we're thinking about the body as different parts. My head is one part, my heart is one part. Like, we're separating the body, but I think we're so disconnected. I don't think we feel how it feels to use our bodies or to be out in nature, or to move, or to whatever. I think that we're really disconnected, all of us. And that's why I feel like dancing is my tool to remind myself about the body, checking in, like, how does it feel, like, how does my hip feels, like, what kind of emotions have I stored in the hips, how does it make me feel to move them, how does it make me feel to move my arms. Much more about that than how it looks like. That comes afterwards, because it's fun and nice to also express and feel like it looks good. And that, I feel like we can also help with. Of course, we always give something like a choreography or techniques or movements for people to work with, but how it feels, that is up to you. So that is why I feel like it's hard to transfer that, because we are disconnected and it's a practice. We also live a life when efficiency is the main goal. If you're efficient, then you're great. If you're not, that's bad. So if you're taking your time to cook your tea, then you're doing it wrong. It's supposed to go so fast all the time. And I don't think we're meant to live like that. I think we're meant to live much slower, and also don't have so much impressions all the time from everywhere. I think we're overstimulated as well.
It becomes more about the dopamine rush rather than the story. So when it comes to feminine storytelling, then let's talk a little bit more about the pleasure.
Get into it, girl.
Let's get into it. Yeah, talk to me. How has the feminine umbrella is big, and I feel that we often talk about, the sensual part or the sexual part.
Yeah.
What is it about really that we like that you think that most people are missing?
What it is to express the way that I choose to express when I dance. What it is about really. Is that your question?
Yeah, like I think that feminine expression when it comes to like the sensual and the sexual becomes usually like this one image. But what is it that people are missing, do you think? What is it that we still are struggling with?
I think that most people might perceive it as something that we do to get acknowledged for that by others, or to gain some kind of credibility, or to be like liked, or and it could be that too. There's nothing wrong. That's a really human need to be liked. There's nothing wrong with that. I also want to be liked, and I want people to appreciate my art. But I think that people are missing it, is that it's a true expression from the inside. It's nothing forced or fake about it. For me, it's real. It's something that I feel. It's something that I want to express. I like to be seductive. I like to move a certain way. It feels good for me. I also like the way you look at me when I do that. So it's more about my need than making somebody else happy about what they see. And that's so funny, because I think that many people could look at my videos of dancing or my content and think that I have male followers who like that. But I'm actually like, I have so many more female followers, and I integrate a lot more with women, because it's not for anybody else. And the people who have that longing, they understand that. And that is also what I saw when I looked at music videos when I was younger, of Beyonce or like Erykah Badu or any type of female artist. It was that thing in between the dancing that caught my eyes. Look, like a glance, a way of moving, a body language that I was really attracted to. And I'm really attracted to still to play with that in my dancing, but also in my daily life. Like, okay, do I walk like I'm only ready to get where I'm going? Or do I walk like I own the street? And how does that look like without being like overly expressive because I'm a dancer? How do I adapt the things that I teach in my day-to-day life? How do I talk? How do I shake hand? How do I, Yeah, so that was like, I don't know if that answered your questions, but I think that it's more real than people might think, because we always hear the expression sex sells. Yeah. But it's because we like to feel sexy. It's not because I want anybody else to view me as sexy. I like being sexy. I'm a sexual being.
That's so funny because, as you say, it's sometimes I end up in this thing of like, so what's too much? What's too little? What's too raw? What's too vague? What's too and it's always funny to see when people post like dancing clips that again are very nude or whatever. I am so like numb to that. For me, that is completely normal these days. And that's their right to express femininity in the most rawest, unapologetic, again, self. But what I do find it, again, it's harder to find that within you, how to be unapologetic or how to and when we say that, doesn't mean you should like sit on other people or be cocky or rude. It's not about that. It's about, I guess, being fair and having self-respect and leading again with, like, I would say, with love. This is me
Always.
and I'm genuine and I'm here because of a true reason, I'm not here for anyone else, as you say, purpose. But yeah, I find it really, really interesting how we are so, again, numb to what we're supposed to wear. It has been such a big focus rather than what's in that in between. What's that and how wide are the spectrum? And yeah, I'm very happy for us that we both have now tapped into to teaching more towards that and something that has more meaning and more depth and also is really fun because we are obviously also exploring this with
Every day.
yeah
Yes. And I think that is a very important thing to also pinpoint is that we also teach to other grown women. And with that being said, it's really important for people to understand that this is my expression. I don't want anybody to try to look like me if they are not comfortable with that. I do not care what you wear, what you're not wearing, how many clothes you have on, or whatever. Don't care about that. I only care about you finding the real expression that you have. And maybe that's completely different. I hope it's completely different from mine. I want to be more shocked in life in general. When I meet women, I'm like, whoa, that is your expression. I'm so happy. There's no need to compare. There's no need to compete. There's space for all of us. If you just dare to be like yourself and embrace that, and if I dare to be myself, because I'm struggling also with that, it's like a journey, of course. But
Oh, I saw something so nice today about this, and it was somebody who did a spoken word
yeah,
about flowers. And like, since when did flowers start to compete? Since when did we get uh so quick to put our noses up and not look down at all the beauty
yeah,
around us as well?
yeah,
And we come from the same dirt,
yeah,
from the same soil. And where did we think that one certain type of flower is more beautiful when they're supposed to be in a bouquet?
yeah,
And I think that that was such a beautiful way of putting it,
yeah,
of like, we are a bouquet. We look good together.
yeah,
We look good because we're
yeah,
different. We
yeah,
look good because that little bit of pink in you, that is reflecting in some of the petals
yeah,
of me, and
yeah.
some of smell from my scent is touching and swirling together so good with yours. And I was like, oh my God, it's such a good analogy of this. The garden is so pretty because it has the different elements. You don't want a garden with just red roses. Then it's just that.
Yeah, then it becomes boring.
Yeah.
That's also something I talked to the women in my class about, that what happens if I don't shine my light? If I'm shedding away from shining my true light, because we're all energy, right? We consist of energy. It's all energy. And if I show you when I meet you that I'm holding back, you're going to feel that and you're going to hold back too. So, a way of like taking responsibility for your energy is also to be authentic. And some people, they're not going to like you. That's okay. You don't like everybody. But at least you know, like, oh, that's T-zer. She expresses that. Nice for her. Not really my thing, but I'm happy for her. But this is my thing. So I feel like we need to take a little bit more responsibility for that. Because if we all went around and like was true to ourselves and with love show that, then we will allow other people to do the same.
100%. That's my favorite quote in the world. If you let yourself shine, you unconsciously let other people do the same.
Yeah. Whatever that looks
Shame.
like. If you want to be under a sheet and do something creative with that, do that. If you want to be in a bikini, do that.
Mm.
If you want to paint, if you want to sing, if you want to, I don't know, run, just do
Yeah,
whatever
just
makes
do.
you happy.
Yeah. And I guess that leads me into my next question is like that happiness, I guess that's what we're trying to reach, right? With what we do. But I wanted to just hear from you, like, why do you do this? Because you could just be doing this on your own, right?
Yeah.
So why do you share it? What's your why?
What's my why? I think my why is that I'm somehow a community person. I like to express for others, and I also love to take part of other people's expression. For me, it's art. I'm a
Mm.
not very artistic person, and I like to showcase my art. And it's more about the art. It doesn't really matter how many likes or followers or whatever bookings I get from it. But if I don't express it, I feel like I'm holding back. And
Mm.
I don't want to hold back in this life. It's
Mm.
so unnecessary. So I think that's my why. It's something that needs to be said for me. And whoever likes it, I'm happy. I think that's my why. What's yours?
I I kind of also back to like that feeling of community. We talk often about like sharing is caring and each one teach one. And I feel like even though that is from like the hip hop foundation, it's kind of like how humanity has evolved, right? We have to give over a piece of the knowledge we gathered in this life to spread that. Unfortunately, that's bad and good and bad, right? People just spread their knowledge, but if my mark on this world is to spread, what do I give on? Like the imagery of what love is for me is that giving and receiving. And I remember the feeling of being locked out from knowledge and from secrets and from feeling that I was missing something and I didn't really get it, and people could be very much of heavy gatekeepers. And I do not want to be a heavy gatekeeper. I want to be doors that are open. I don't even want to have doors. I just want to be a window, really. And if there's anything that I could give you to move on or to give you a stepping stone on that journey, whether that is one class or or years of training together, or if that is the love we give each other on the dance floor when we go out social dancing. If I give you something that made you feel a little bit better, that left you with a feeling of that you're okay and that I see you and that you are worthy to be seen and that you're worthy of this, and I am there to even remind you a bit of that part of the journey, then I guess that's the most beautiful thing you could actually give, you know. It cost my time, it cost some effort, but the return of that investment is that I will be able to hopefully look back at a long life of dance teaching and be like, whoa, you know, I gave something. I don't think anyone can change the world. I don't think so, but I think we can change what's closest to us, and the people that just come across our path is sometimes meant to get a helping hand, just like how many people have helped me along the way and keeps being there. Like how we discuss these topics every day also is a way for me to clear my thoughts and to come to understandings. And I don't think people have um always the deepest of friendships. I don't think that people always are fortunate enough to have great connections in their life. So where else are they gonna get this information if not on class?
Yeah.
Doing something where most of them signed up to do something sexy and fun and
Yes.
had no idea that they also got like a whole personal
Yep.
dive class into it as well.
Yeah. But it's connected. You can't disconnect from that. It's so important. Yeah.
So I guess
that's really beautiful, T-zer.
It's hard to summarize the why, but that's genuinely how I feel. Like I always say that there are space for everyone. I am very encouraging for other people that wants to be teachers because again, sometimes I look back at my dance journey and I think, whoa, if my dance teacher that I had when I was 15 didn't tell me, hey, I'm retiring, you're taking over now. Who would have given me that key? Who would have opened those doors?
And people think that keeping those keys to yourself is going to make them grow, but they're not because we're energy.
Yeah.
And we only grow together.
Yeah.
So you're that key. If you're keeping that gate closed, then it's going to bite you in the ass. I'm sorry, but that's just how it works. So I think that's really beautiful because you lead with love always.
That's and
that's the person and the purpose, and that's why it doesn't really matter what anybody else thinks because you know that you know your purpose, and I know my purpose, and people are gonna because it is also people are gonna feel some kind of way when you express like this. We're still like it's 2024, almost 2025, but we're still there for a woman to express something differently, even if it's like a woman being very masculine. Whoa, that's a thing. A woman being very feminine. Whoa, that's a thing. It's always a thing. So people are going to feel some kind of way about it. And you have to be prepared for that. But if you own it. And I think that's also a very important thing about my why is to show other women that it's okay. I got myself. We're a grown woman. We can do whatever we want. It's my expression. I own it. People are going to maybe see it and think that I'm overly sexualizing myself or I'm whatever. That's okay. Go ahead. Feel that. Process that. Dig. Why do I feel like this? Why am I being like, why do I think this is provocative? Why am I being provoked? Why am I feeling angry about this? Go work with that. I'm happy if I can help you work with that. If you feel that when you see me. Because
we have also been there, right? Where we have been like,
why does she do like this? And she's only seeking attention.
We have also been very judgy, and I think that it takes practice to not be judgmental because our brain is just wired to categorize, right? So we have to constantly be like, is this good? Is this bad? Is this something I want to look like? Is this something that I take a stand against? And because we are in this constant feel like age where you have to have an opinion about everything all the time, it's very hard to come across somebody who says, I mean, yeah, okay, you do that makes you happy. Nice. There's like it's never like a natural response.
No.
But the response of whatever shouldn't stop you. Response can be good too. And it also practice what you just said. The practice, okay, so I posted this dance video where I did a one take and it was like super hard and I've been like watching the clip and I would never post it or whatever. That is a reality, but it's a part of that journey. Because next time somebody has a comment on your body or whatever, you need to be advocating for yourself the way you advocate for your inner thoughts when they come around.
Yeah. And people don't know what's going on, and we don't know what's going on inside of somebody else. So if you're seeing something with some kind of hate or negativity, that's always on you. Like people might not know. Some people can't move another way. Maybe they have some kind of situation with their body. Maybe they have whatever. It doesn't matter. But if we are so judgmental and critical when we view other people, then that's what the energy we're getting back.
It just says how we also talk to ourselves.
Definitely.
Right? Like it really showcases what is going on with our self-talk.
Definitely. And to wrap it up, what's in your feminine journey 2025?
Well, I did come across that is the snake, the year of the snake. And that's like the most transformational year, I assume, because the snake sheds skin and
Yeah.
you kind of unlayering and stuff like that. And apparently it's also the wooden snake. I'm sure that the different elements have different meanings together with the animal, but it's about looking inwards rather than outwards. It's about like strategically also coming up with processes that works for you. So it's really more of an inwards year. And um therefore I feel like this year I want to try a lot of inwards work. Not that we're not going to dance and express ourselves because we always will, but the work around that is where I'm going to put more energy. And dare to be more experimental with what I teach, but also how we move and so on. Like I think that we kind of know now what style I do, but now I want to take it further for myself, and I'm just very honored that I have students that wants to join along on that journey, and I'm very excited for that. And for my own personal feminine journey, I am still on the journey of how to surrender to the moment and not think too much about how it's gonna be and get stuck in the how. I want to focus more on my why, and I want to still practice on living in a little bit of a slower pace, because I want to explore what the quality that comes with slower pace does.
Interesting.
Yeah. And I mean, still keep it sensual, keep it hot, you know.
Of course, always.
Always. That's the plus. But what's up with your feminine 2025?
My feminine 2025. I think for me, since I've been like really, I've had this like a hard time moving my body since I've had a lot of pain and my body's been going through changes, and it's been really hard for me to express the way I want to express dance wise because I can't move right now. Then I will want to focus on going back to the core of the movements. So I think I'm gonna go back to be like really about like how does it feel to move my hips? In what ways can I move them? How would I teach this? What is the technique? Going back to basics and small. Because you're not gonna see me doing a hip hop solo right now. I can't deliver all of that, but I can deliver some movements from the inside, from the core. So that's what I'm gonna focus on, like feminine movement journey wise, and always how to express much with little, because that is what I'm so interested in that. Like, how do I say a lot with only one little look or glance and stuff like that? So the expression of it's always like exciting for me. And in my own personal feminine journey, I'm also gonna take it even more slower, and I'm gonna listen to my body a lot on an everyday, every minute type of way. Like, okay, this is not comfortable. Let's change seats. This is not a pace I want to walk in. I'm gonna be late, but I'm gonna be late. Like I'm gonna let my body lead me through 2025. And with my body, I also mean my intuition. Like, I really want to be in tune with that. Because something in the way I lived took me here. Something is not good with me and my body. There's something my body's trying to tell me, something that I need to change in my way of living. So I really want to tune into that a lot. And if that means I'm going to say no to things or yes to things, or be late or be early or show up in another way, then so be it. So that is going to be really important for me.
Wow, very exciting. I wish everyone could think that way about their bodies. Like when is something wrong, that we don't feel like this overflown of, you know,
Yeah. It's
of
like,
shame or
yeah,
anger or frustration towards our body. Why isn't it working? And why,
yeah, exactly.
and disappointment and like, come on,
Yeah.
like, why am I so lazy or
Yeah.
whatever.
Why is it what is it trying to tell me? So 2025 feminine movement.
Oh. Don't forget to click subscribe, comment below, and give us a rating or review. We have a Facebook page, YouTube page, and we are on Spotify, Google Podcasts, iTunes, and all the other podcast platforms. We also have an Instagram, so don't forget to tag us in your favorite episode and share it with the world, because we read all of it.